Let me take you on a journey through the life of one of the most electrifying athletes the world has ever seen, Heike Drechsler. Imagine for a moment the crack of the starting pistol, her long legs coiled like springs, her leap launching her into the air, every muscle singing with raw power and precision. But behind every jump, every gold medal, lies a story of fierce determination, political drama, personal sacrifice, and a will so relentless it refused to fade even when her body threatened to give in. This is not just the chronicle of an athlete. It is the tale of a woman who danced on the brink of history, whose wings were tied by geopolitics, yet who soared anyway. Born in a divided Germany, raised under a system that demanded excellence, Drechsler would become more than a star. She would become legend. She rewrote records in more than one discipline, defied age and injury to return to the top, and confronted her own complicity in a sports machine whose costs were hidden behind curtains of fame. From her earliest spark of talent to the twilight of her career, this is a story of triumph, regret, redemption, and legacy. Sit back, because you're about to fly alongside Heike. She came into the world on December 16, 1964, in Gera, in what was then East Germany. Her birth name was Heike Gabriela Daute. A tall child with long limbs and restless energy, she would soon attract the eyes of local coaches. At age 10, she was already experimenting with athletics, encouraged by a perceptive school coach and a best friend who wanted to run too. She jumped, she sprinted, she threw. Anything to channel that overflowing vigor. Her athletic home would become SC Motor Jena, a strong club in the East German sports system, where coaches housed, monitored, and molded promising children into elite performers. In 1977, she officially joined the club, but her development actually began earlier, under youth training programs designed to spot talent and push it forward. East Germany's state-sponsored sports system was rigorous. From a young age, budding athletes were subject to intense guidance, political oversight, and constant performance pressure. For Heike, that meant structured training, frequent evaluations, and little room for error. But it also meant access to excellent coaches, facilities, and the prestige of being among the GDR's prized stars. By her late teens, she was already making waves. In 1983, at 18 or 19, she won the long jump at the World Championships in Helsinki, becoming the youngest world champion in that event to date. That victory etched her name into the record books. She had leapt past expectations and announced that a new force had arrived. She married in July 1984, taking the name Heike Drechsler, and from that point on, competed under that name. Her husband's father, Erich Drechsler, became a coach within her team. Her ascent, though, was not unchallenged. In 1984, the Eastern Bloc's boycott of the Los Angeles Olympics struck. For a young athlete in top form, that was a bitter blow. She had trained for years, ready to claim the world stage, only to be told, "You cannot go." The political decision haunted her. She later spoke of that moment as a dark mark, a hole in her career that could never be filled, especially knowing that her rivals from non-boycotting countries competed and claimed Olympic glory. Still, Drechsler pressed on. In 1985, she broke the long jump record, or improved it. And in 1986, she would expand her dominance beyond just jumping. She equaled the world record in the 200 meters, running 21.71 seconds, demonstrating that she was not merely a jumper, but an all-around athlete of rare versatility. She improved her long jump record, too. Her speed and jump power fed into each other. It was a masterful fusion of sprint mechanics and aerial technique. She became a dual threat. In long jump she soared, and in sprinting she thundered. In the 1987 World Championships she earned a silver medal in the 100-meter. In national and continental meets, she collected medals in both jumping and sprinting. Her rivalry with Jackie Joyner-Kersee was legendary. They pushed each other, respected each other, and tied their careers in friendly competitiveness. In 1988, at the Seoul Olympics, she shone. She won silver in the long jump, behind Joyner-Kersee, and bronze medals in both the 100-meter and 200-meter sprints. She had become a triple-threat Olympian, someone who could challenge in multiple domains. That placed her among the most complete athletes in the sport's history. Her legal best long jump came in 1988, 748 meters, a distance that still ranks among the greatest ever achieved. But she didn't stop there. In 1992, in Sestriere, Italy, at altitude and with a marginal wind assist, she jumped 7.63 meters, the farthest any woman ever leapt, though it couldn't be officially declared a record due to the wind reading. Still, for Heike, that jump was a personal moment of transcendence. She said it felt like floating, like defying gravity itself. It was one of those sublime moments where athlete and air fuse into something magical. Competing through the 1990s and into the 2000s, she faced a gauntlet of injuries, age, and transition, not just personally, but nationally. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989. The German Democratic Republic dissolved. Suddenly, the system she had once been bound to was gone. She now competed for a unified Germany. The privileges, pressures, and politics shifted. She gave birth to her son in 1989, on November 1st. By that time, she had to learn not just how to compete, but how to balance motherhood, identity, and athletic ambition. In 1990, she remade her dominance. At the European Championships in Split, she won the long jump, 730 m, and earned silver in the 200 meters. In 1991, at the World Championships in Tokyo, she took silver in the long jump, narrowly edged by Joyner-Kersee, and bronze in the 4x100 meter relay. As a sprinter, she gradually phased out of international competition, focusing more on her signature jump, but she never completely left the speed world behind. Her career longevity is astonishing. She won European long jump golds repeatedly, 1986, 1990, 1994, 1998. In 1998, at age 33, she stunned critics by winning her fifth individual European title in Budapest, after going through injury and surgery. That performance was hailed as vintage Heike, proof that experience and will can defy the ticking clock. She had surgery on both Achilles tendons late in 1997, yet recovered to roar back to elite form. Many said she had no business winning at that age, but she did. Then came the 2000 Sydney Olympics. At 35, most jumpers were long gone, yet Drechsler won gold in the long jump, becoming the only woman in history to win 2 Olympic golds in that event, 1992 and 2000. It was a fairy tale finish, a final bow atop the podium. She called those games her joy games, a moment to savor, because she knew she had squeezed every drop of possibility from her body. She had withstood the doubts, the injuries, the years, and she had reclaimed the throne. Her retirement came in 2004. She had intended to contest the 2004 Athens Olympics, but realized she could no longer compete at that level. At a farewell event in Berlin in September, she received a moving tribute from 60,000 fans. Her era on the track was over, but her story was far from finished. Yet her legacy is complex. In 2001, she publicly admitted she had been given performance-enhancing drugs as part of the East German state system, though she insisted she believed them to be harmless vitamins and had little control over what was administered. This confession stirred debate, criticism, empathy, and re-examination of her records. The doping machine of East Germany was systemic, secretive, and ruthless, and many athletes were caught in it, often unknowingly. She spoke afterward of regret and disillusionment. "I get sick when I think of it," she said. That confession casts a shadow over the purity of her achievements, yet also illustrates her humanity in confronting difficult truths. After competition, she turned toward writing, public speaking, health advocacy, and working for a German health insurance company. She uses her fame not just to reminisce, but to promote movement, wellness, motivation, and children's sports. She co-authored books on fitness and children's movement, and in pandemic times she has given web seminars on health, motivation, and work-life balance. She has also dabbled in acting. In 2024, she appeared in 3 episodes of a German soap opera, Rot Rosen, playing a fictionalized version of herself, training a young heptathlete. It is a small but symbolic reminder that her influence extends beyond the track. In recent years, she's spoken openly about lessons learned, about trust between coach and athlete, about mental resilience, about how in competition one must enter a tunnel of focus, excluding all distraction, and emerge only when the moment demands it. She said she might consider coaching someday, though the full demands of elite coaching would conflict with her other commitments. Her interests include children's fitness, public health, motivational speaking, teaching movement, and mentoring. She still loves athletics, watching young jumpers, attending meets, encouraging new talent. She doesn't vanish into retirement. She continues to engage, to inspire, to provoke thought and conversation. Her training throughout was never static. In her early years, she embraced multi-event training. Jumps, sprints, heptathlon elements. She mixed endurance, strength, plyometrics, technical drills, and competitions as internal benchmarks. She had days devoted to jumps, others to throwing, others to sprint circuits, soccer, even as cross-training. She never liked repetitive endurance work, but she endured it anyway, knowing it built the foundation. She and her training partners challenged each other, in runs, in throws, in speed work. She also benefited from training with sprinters such as Linford Christie, racing head-to-head under handicaps for motivation and spice. Over her career, she had to adapt. As injuries crept in, she added water training, recovery sessions, more rest, more strategic tapering, more attentive listening to her body. Her coach had to learn the balance of pushing and pulling back, knowing when to let her grind and when to hold her back. Her most memorable events are many: the 1983 world title as a teenager, the 1988 triple medal haul, the record equaling in 1986 the 7.63-meter jump in Sestriere, the 1992 Olympic gold, the comeback in 1998 to win despite surgery the 2000 Olympic gold at age 35, the farewell with 60,000 fans, and the public admission of doping involvement. Each carries weight, struggle, elation, contradiction. Her personality in interviews emerges as fiercely competitive but introspective. She yearns to be better, to fly higher, but also to understand the cost. She held immense drive, entering every competition aiming to win, comparing herself to the best, measuring faults, always pushing for a little more. Yet she also acknowledges setbacks, failures, moments of disappointment, and the toll on her body and morale. She is candid about emotional bruises, about dark moments, and about the burden of being an elite public figure under a surveillance state, and then in unified Germany. She often repeats a phrase: "You must live your dreams, go your own way, and not let anything stand in your way." In advice to her younger self, she says it's okay to explore, to travel, to fail, to rebuild. Sport taught her discipline and identity, but she reminds younger athletes that life is broader than medals. Heike Drechsler remains, decades after her last jump, a figure of fascination, contradiction, and inspiration. Her achievements will be remembered, her name's inscribed in record books. But beyond that, her story is a mirror of sport and state, of ambition and burden, of what it means to rise, to fall, and to try to rise again. So when you imagine Heike, imagine her poised at the takeoff board, muscles taut, sky ahead. But also imagine the child in Gera, the teenager hurt by politics, the mother balancing life, the athlete battling injury, the woman confronting moral gray, the mentor reaching out to the next generation. Her life is not a simple triumph. It is a mosaic of brilliance and complexity. And in that story lies both the wonder of human potential and the caution of the systems we trust.